Welcome to Vets Coming Clean. What have you seen? I'm Granny Lisa, and today we have a special guest, but I have a co host, and I'm going to let her take it straight to Peggy,
I'm
the Enforcer.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Peggy, the enforcer. I've got bad lag issues going on right now, Granny. I'm going to log out and come back in and see if I can fix that. You ladies go ahead and start up.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. We'll see you in a minute. All right. Well, today we have a special guest, and I'm going to let you know that up front, she's not a veteran. She came in and she made that little statement, and I thought that was so cute. So, her name is Joy, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and what her special skills are because I don't know. I purposely did not read her bio because I want to see what's going on. So, welcome, Joy. What have you seen?
Well, thank you and for having me on the show, Miss Granny Lee. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
A little bit about my yes.
Yes,
A
we're
little bit
having
about
fun.
myself. Yes. A little bit about me. I'm basically an eclectic person of interest. I've gathered different skill sets, different types of knowledge, open-minded. I pursue intellectually different things and different subject matter. And what I've acquired ever since my mom influenced me with murder mysteries of Murder She Wrote with Angela Lansbury and Agatha Christie. Then I started branching out and reading up on Patricia Cornwell or any other detective gritty novels, movies, Silence of the Lambs. All those things fostered the interest as I started out in my 20s. I wanted to be FBI or CIA. You don't know any better. You're thinking, oh, yeah, I mean, what you've been exposed to on TV and in what you read about, that you just want to be a part of that. So I tried to
Mhm.
take classes and get myself a degree and was pursuing those things. Then I decided to get an internship at a military base. And in 2006, I was a logistics management specialist. That's where
Ooh.
I was working for the Air Force. It was a higher level position than I expected it to be. I thought I was going to be a postal worker working at as a GS9 for the rest of my career and just phase on out and just retire peacefully.
Right.
That's what nothing like that. It was a fast track management course for the next 3 years. And the trade off is that you get $20,000 of your in student loans paid off. So you sign a 3 year commitment to get that. And in the process, you get a GS9 7911 program that pays you while you're learning, even though you already have your degree.
Oh, that's
Well,
pretty good program there.
yes, it's
A
called
real good
Palace
program.
Acquire. Well, at that time, I was like really gung ho. I wanted to be overseas and be in a combat zone and debating whether or not I wanted to join the military or not. I was always getting talked out of by other people. Don't do it. You won't like it. So that's why I was like, well, this civilian position, working with the military in tandem with them, I thought what a great opportunity because I had such admiration for military people. And I was a little intimidated by them when I first met them, especially the military officers. And they were just so nice in the beginning, just had that polished element of decor and decorum and stuff that I didn't understand at the time. And then I also would interact with enlisted people. We also had contractors and other civilians. So it was an
Oh,
interesting mix of people on this military base. So, and it was an eye-opening experience. Things that
oh,
I
I'm
never knew
sure.
about myself to help me grow. Uh, when I went through that process, I did not understand that there were personality types that were very predatory. And they would single me out. One, me being too vocal. I'm really outspoken. I just didn't realize how outspoken. There's a certain culture they have that you're supposed to be keeping your head down and doing your work. And I'd be this boisterous, outgoing, speaking my mind. not a good mix. So
Well,
I
and
had
you're
to,
female.
and I'm female, which didn't help either.
Right.
Didn't I?
Nope.
I didn't appreciate the dynamics at the time because I followed my own path. I thought for myself, and I didn't conform very well, and that
Mhm.
kind of scared them because you have to have a certain level of conformity to follow orders, and they're used to people following orders and doing as they're told. And me,
Yep,
I'm
no
challenging
question.
stuff. Yes, I challenge the
Mhm.
status quo, and I get good reviews in my evals at the time to challenge the status quo and help improve things, process improvement. But I still had a lot to go on to this body of knowledge that military people or people out in the logistics field knew for 20 years. And here you got a brand new college graduate
Mhm.
learning the ropes, and they didn't like that. You're a threat to their position. You're a threat to their
Mhm.
way of life. And by golly, we're going to beat you down and make you pay.
Oh yeah.
Well, and I didn't bode well with that at all. Otherwise, I did have good mentors. Didn't know at the time that's what I should have had all my entire life. So, like I said, it was a learning process to be exposed to the more advanced processes of military.
Mhm.
And I would tell you this: the greatest achievement was being deployed as a civilian asset in a combat zone, which was 2011 Iraq. And I'm so grateful that the colonel that interviewed me chose me. And he said, "You didn't do it for the money. You did it for another reason." I said, "Yeah, I did." And
Mhm.
he, it was what really the military was all about. And it was working with real professionals that didn't hold anything back. They showed their raw emotions. And they learned how to resolve stuff. Some of them were so phenomenal with their skill sets. And here I am, just like babe in the woods type of feeling and trying to learn what I'm trying to need to do. And they valued and respected people who are competent. And if you weren't
Mhm.
competent or had operational credibility, you were thrown out in the wilderness, so to
Yeah.
speak. They really didn't like people who were lazy. They didn't like people who were shit stirrers either. So
No.
they really enjoyed the unit was very synergistic as in working as a team and getting things together. So the bad apples, they would spit them out and send them back home. And they did it pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because in a
So
war zone you have to be that efficient,
yes.
well-oiled.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
So I got to see how the real military was, not
Good for
the
you.
one at my home office where it was high drama, eighth grader gossip and backstabbing and sabotage, and where I learned what art of war was, which was new to me, and
Mhm.
understanding the savvy to that. So it was a push-pull dynamic for me, but they really wanted to get me as best as they could. Well, so finally, when I did report it to the EU office at the time, I was trying to resolve it at the lowest level, but they found out that I talked to them, and so that I was enemy number one after that. They wanted to hang on to that element of maybe I was scary in another way, like I was a spy, worked for the CIA, DOD, FBI, DEA. They were accusing me of all these things because I came across as secretive and asking the wrong kind of questions. So I'm like, okay, well, I can see why you would be leery of somebody that's from the outside and coming in here and just not fitting with the flow of your culture. Because I come from a different culture. I came from
Mhm.
working in the jail and working as a patrol officer briefly, private investigator, and I did work undercover for a retired FBI agent temporarily in my 20s.
Uh-huh.
hmm uh, what was interesting is that I signed up as a collateral duty, even though it's not logistics, it was for combating trafficking in persons at the time. Because my interest was back then when I was trying to interview or intern at Interpol. I did that in 2005 while in college. I was trying to come up with a research topic, and my sociology professor recommended modern day slavery, which was human trafficking. I was like, what? What is that? And he introduced me to the book Disposable People, which opened a whole different viewpoint. I had no idea that there was slavery going on in the world.
Mhm.
None. I was very sheltered. So it maintained my interest in the background for several years. So it would bubble up and surface up every so often. So I did a research paper while I was in Iraq in my international relations master's degree on human trafficking.
Oh.
So when I came back and did a collateral duty on combating trafficking persons, which was an assignment that nobody wanted at the ground floor, I was like, I'll take it because I'm bored and we have enough money to just go on a conference out in DC just to see what it's about. Oh, ladies, when you think that you're under the radar and you're just trying to do your due diligence of just a little assignment and going back home, nothing goes ever as planned. Nothing. Not with me. Nothing. So guess who showed up at my table to introduce themselves to meet up later with the commander of our 4-star general headquarters? DODIG.
Who?
The DODIG. And they asked if they could come visit, just do a drive-by to see trafficking operations and see how we are with our checklist when people deploy or redeploy into or off base. Because they were telling me that the big human trafficking problem with the military. So when we came over here, it scared everybody.
Okay, stop. Okay, she's really bogging. I can't hear her. Every
broke
other
up
word.
there for a minute. At the beginning, we asked who it was, and then you broke up. So who showed up at your table first off?
DODIG.
Oh, DODIG.
I don't know what that is. It sounds like I know it, but I don't.
Department of Defense Inspector General. Is that correct? Or Adjutant General?
She's lagging behind.
I'm not.
Testing 1 2.
Okay, we hear you now.
Oh, she's getting LA says she's getting a technical assault because they don't want her to talk. That makes sense.
Correct.
It would. Yes.
Yeah. That happens.
That does happen.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Okay.
We're ready.
So they showed up wanting to know about the operations and what you were doing. Go ahead.
At the time, it was just a collateral duty, just to run a combating and trafficking persons program, and it was nothing. There was nothing to it. It was just a checklist confirming that we have a little program, acknowledging that we have training for people, and that was it. Just an online 10-minute training, and that was all that was to it. Well, when I went out to do a conference with combating trafficking persons with all the DOJ and military partners,
She is gone again.
Okay.
I have a question. Does anybody else hear male talking, kind of like at an airport type of talking in the background?
I was too.
Yeah.
Mike and I both were.
You know, kind of like it was an airport, like a pilot talking to another pilot or something like that.
Yeah, whenever you started cutting out, Joy, it sounded like somebody else was cutting in. Now she's having connection issues.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's the location she's at in the building.
Yeah, I don't know.
We can't hear you, Michael. He said that's very probable considering she's inside a building.
Okay, right. And considering she's inside a building, she may need to move to a different location so she's not getting the same lag.
It's interesting, though, that you can hear these background men's voices.
Well, it's funny because on the other broadcast, I hadn't even brought that up. Our other broadcast with Amy Holm, we were getting that before the show. You could actually hear it in your headset.
I could too, but I didn't say anything.
That's very interesting.
Well, what was it that she called it? The DOD?
IG, I believe?
AIG,
Oh,
which I'm
AI.
thinking. Here, let me just look it up, and I can tell everybody.
Yeah, that
That
would
would
be
be the
cool to know
quickest.
what it is.
Absolutely. Well, and we're waiting on her to come back right now.
That's the opposite of Inspector General.
Office Inspector General. Okay.
Ooh,
So
that sounds like it's a kind of a big deal.
Yes, those, Granny, from what my understanding is, they're the ones that do the inspections and stuff. They do the, I don't know if they had it when you were in the military, but we have OIG inspections, and they'd
you
come
get a
and
way to
inspect the unit and inspect and make sure everything was clean and everybody was following protocol, and
Oh,
they'd
I
go
thought
through
that
your
was the
procedures and
sergeants.
stuff.
This sounds like it's the person that in investigations. What was it called again, Mike?
OIG
what,
or AIG. What was it, Michael?
AIG.
Okay.
No, I was going to say you might want to text her to see if she's okay.
Okay. I'll text her real quick.
Inspector generals. They usually do work like in and Paul and oh, what do you call it? Uh,
So she just sent me
press
a
charges.
message. The browser blocked her mic and camera. That's interesting. I wonder why.
Where is she?
Join without camera. I'm going to tell her or to join without camera. I told her to call in or join without camera. Okay. Yes, she has the StreamYard link. I texted it to her before the show.
That's interesting.
It's very interesting. Well,
I
this
don't
would
want
be
to
a good
cause her any
time
danger.
to mention we have on the website a file that she gave us. Oh, wait, she's calling now. Can you hear us, Joy?
Yes.
Can you hear her, Granny?
Yes.
Okay, we'll see if we can do it this way then.
Okay.
So, where were we? We're talking about the DoD AIG coming to speak with y'all.
Just with me, because I was the only one representing our command, and he asked to visit our command. That was as simple as that. But I knew what that meant. It meant that they got confirmation that I was a spy for the CIA or DODIG, and that's exactly what happened when they came back to visit us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because they were all convinced that I was for a long time, and there's all kinds of
It just cut out. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, they were spreading all kinds of rumors, making those accusations. And I've been, people asked me if I was. I was like, no, I'm just here to do a job, and the environment was crappy.
Right.
Yeah, it was referenced as a snake pit at the ground floor where I was at because people spent more time gossiping than working.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I have a
never good.
question. Can you hear me?
Can
I
you
didn't hear.
hold on? Let me turn my volume up. Can you hear her now? Granny, say something.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. When these rumors came around, wouldn't IG be able to confirm with you in checking and seeing if you were part of any other association?
I didn't hear.
Couldn't they check to see if you were part of any other associations? Since
Sure they can, but they didn't bother checking.
They didn't bother
Oh.
checking. Wow.
Okay.
They were just convinced of what they wanted to be convinced with, and if they did check on me, of course, if I would say IA, of course they're going to deny, and so they drew that conclusion on their own and just were convinced of it. Scared so much that some people transferred to another building.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no kidding. So I had to deal with that on top of them trying to keep me from doing my job because, I don't know, they just wanted to not have me work there. It was just something about me stood out to them. Well, as time progressed and I came back from Iraq, the same kind of people wanted to instigate and hold this grudge, but it wasn't a grudge. It was, later on, I discovered it was a personality disorder, someone to target because I was available. And I found out they were doing it to other people. And so when I met up with some of them later, I found out that they were the problem. But me being so much of a fighter, so to speak, and just resistant to tolerating that, it turned into a problem where I became the problem.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So as time progressed, I got placed in another assignment in War Games branch, which I thought would be really cool, except that the gentlemen around me were indoctrinated that I was the problem. And so they were going to work with me very effectively. And my new boss said that he had somebody put a bug in his ear that I was a backstabber.
Oh, that doesn't help you at all.
But that's not unusual.
That was the point.
Oh, because they were targeting you.
Yeah, because that's not unusual to do.
At the time, it was just bullying. That I understood. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road. As soon as I reported harassment, everything was flipped on me and escalated. Before, the harassment was originating just from the same group of people that I had a problem in 2008 in policy division. And they were trying to recruit other people to go along with it. Not everybody was going along with it. They thought it was very inappropriate. But then when I complained, everybody joined in that was in the immediate area. Then it grew. Then they reached out to their buddies and other offices to go along with it. So when I went to a conference and I was getting heavily attacked verbally, I blew up at the people, and it made me look like I was out of my mind. So that's when things went viral, and that's when I started getting gang stalked.
Oh, wow. Now, what is gang stalking for those that are unaware?
Gang stalking is basically ganging up on a person and taking turns stalking them, surveilling them, doing all kinds of things that you damn well know it's illegal, but you're going to do it anyway because somebody from a different level gave you permission to go along with it, thinking, hey, we'll protect you. They'll never they'll never find out, and there won't be any evidence to prove it.
Right.
So you're subjected to surveillance, people committing all kinds of little crimes against you, and you get harassed no matter where the hell you go. Anywhere from here in Illinois to I've been targeted while I was in Connecticut, Florida. As I was traveling, it was large scale. It looked like the entire internet was coming down on me. That's how big it was.
Oh, wow. That's not good.
No, it wasn't. And it was like I was the anti-celebrity, more important than the president of the United States. Everybody knew who I was, and my business at my workplace, that was a problem, and they made it into some type of entertainment. So and I thought it was just, I'm the only one going through this for the longest time. I was like, how are they pulling this off?
Right.
And that was the fascination of it. Like, how are they able to get away with this? Because for many years while I was dealing with this, and of course I lost my job. I was getting written up left and right, along with getting very sick. I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. And I was trying to get a diagnosis with some type of counselor or a psychologist who at the time was helping me after I get hit with an 18-wheeler in 2009 and recovering from depression and PTSD from that. And I was fine, which cleared me to go to Iraq at the time and then come back. But at the time that I was going through that, no one would see me. No counselor, no psychiatrist, no psychologist. And when I did get to see one, she said it was beyond her boundary of competence to help me.
Wow, that sounds familiar. I've had that happen before. Have you, Granny? No, you haven't. That just leaves you with nobody, doesn't it, Joy?
Yeah, I was alone. Telling it to family members that they were just like, I don't know what to do with this or how to respond to this.
Yeah.
So my mom believed me at the time. She was in my corner, and because she's been exposed to, she was smart enough to see beyond the BS. And she was always supportive of that. So and my best friend, she gave me a link thinking I was schizophrenic. She's like, here, this is what I think you have. I'm like, you know me for almost 20 years. Why would you all of a sudden think I'm schizophrenic when I'm too old for it?
Right.
So you lost a lot of friendships. You lost a lot of people that are supportive of you, and you just lose all of that. Plus, I was going through a relationship that wasn't a relationship. I found out that he was some kind of freeloader, abusive, that kind of thing. I got him evicted eventually and get him out of my home. And it took several months to just keep him out of my life.
Mm.
And I'm glad that that was done and over with. So I decided to venture off into the metaphysical after that. I thought, well, if no one else can help me, then let me try becoming a healer. Let me try learning to explore the other aspects of reality that we know it and start digging. And I got advice saying, it's just bullying. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. It's going to go away. I'm like, I don't think you understand what this is. Nobody did. Not a single person had a clue.
Yeah. LA put a comment in that said, the internet games do exist. Think Hunger Games, the movie.
I didn't hear all that.
She said that LA made the comment, internet games do exist. Think Hunger Games, the movie.
Yes.
So is this what made you start looking more into where this was coming from when you looked into the spiritual aspect?
Yes. And I never knew in a million years that I was going to intercept the information that I did at the time. And I was just like, I'm just going to focus on me.
Right.
And keep on going, because at the time it was just organized stalking. That's all it was. So no big deal. Well, as soon as Amy disclosed who was after me, that's when everything changed. And that's when I was getting hit with energy weapons and audio weapons. They switched gears after that.
Oh,
because
wow.
they knew that I had the willpower to go after them, but I realized you can't do it by yourself.
Right.
Is she safe now?
Yes. She's safe now. And Amy's the guest that we had on last week. The Amy you spoke of, correct? She's helped you find out that you were being targeted?
Yes. It is United States Air Force out of Colorado, NATO, Langley Air Force Base, I think it's Air Force Base or CIA. And I was with another person that was targeted, and I met her in Jacksonville. I had learned through her, I met her on Facebook and found out Amy was able to uncover all this and got information that way. And we would observe all the organized stalking around us. Hers style is different a little bit, as mine's tailored just for me. But we, as time went on, the past 2 years of being together, we recognized each other's targeting style. But,
wow.
Yeah. And I also found out I had bit clots that they put in me, which is a type of nanotechnology. What it is, it's designed to synthetically clot your blood for people who have hemophilia. I don't have hemophilia. So contact the robotics team out of the University of Tokyo to find out more details about this. And they do not have human trials at the time that I talked about a year or 2 years ago. And I drew the conclusion that they either weaponized it or they sold it, or the university sold it to the highest bidder, which was our military, our government.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So have you been able to get them removed? Is there a way to get them removed?
I asked them that, and they said no, they have not gotten that far in their research.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. So what does it do?
What does it do? It clots.
It synthetically clots your blood.
So they can literally make you have like a stroke at any moment?
So or a heart attack, yeah.
Yeah, they could do it at any time. They give me these sensations where there's stoppage in my arteries and veins from time to time, and I know it's them. I didn't know what that was for a long time, but I found out it was them after educating myself with what this was and what Amy said it was. And then I was getting hit with heated sensations and the typical Havana syndrome symptoms of feeling dizzy, disoriented, and then you feel this energy being hitting you in the back of the head, trying to make you collapse or force you to sleep, force you awake. Just injuries to your body from head to toe. I get unexplained bruises that are aligned in very strategic ways, and pinpoints that are mapped out in a grid for your body, showing what areas they've used. So yes, you can have me examined by a dermatologist or a forensic specialist and see the damage or what areas they've struck down, especially if you use thermal imaging scan, which Amy did, and showed the old injuries and the current injuries of me getting attacked. So even though I was heavily attacked, I helped somebody else in Virginia with her situation so they could reverse the decision of her being diagnosed with schizophrenia or whatever story they came up with, and so that she could be affirmed that it was energy weapons and event syndrome. So I was really happy to achieve that because I know it opened the doors for everybody else.
So is this, oh, sorry, Granny. Go ahead, Granny.
I have a question. If you say you're safe and there's no way to correct this nanobots in your body, is this the first interview you've done talking about this?
Is this the first interview you've done talking about this?
No, I was with Frank on Target in Massachusetts to have a conversation.
Okay.
Is this what led you to get in the DSM-5 to add targeted individuals?
I got in the DSM-5 to acknowledge people are being tortured. They're victims of torture and terrorism, and that's in the DSM.
Okay. That's major. That's real major.
Yeah, you can shift all of that to torture and terrorism. And I could, in my research, thank God, I went through hell just to get that achieved and published and put myself through school. And they were trying to attack me left and right every step of the way. And then things got quiet because they were scared to death that I would get Amy's information of her communications and forensic proof to put on my thesis. So I was like, you know what? Why don't we keep that separate so that when we go to court, it would show it's a different resource as opposed to it all collectively put under one spot. So that strengthens a case as opposed to weakening it. And I reached out to a bioweapons expert named Elena Hacker. I don't know if you've talked to her yet.
No, I have not. Would you mind connecting us so that we can?
Sure. Now, keep in mind, the bad guys have her under lockdown. It's hard for her to communicate with anybody. And she has been disclosing quite a bit on Twitter, which I keep in touch with from time to time. And she was in my thesis as well, because she has different ways of trying to heal yourself and is a prodigy. So she knows quite a bit about quantum science and engineering and biotechnology, which is why she works for the Pentagon as a bioweapons expert. And she's also on the international task force to address these issues that everybody's having, including herself. She's got a lot of damage from getting hit with energy weapons as well.
Oh, wow.
She's also a well-trained psychic. She does demonstrate that she's very gifted. So she uses brain-computer interfacing to help track down these bad guys. And some of them have been killed interfering with her job.
Oh, wow. So have you ever seen anime Ghost in a Shell? Is it like that, how she interfaces with the computer?
I don't know. I've never seen it. But I would imagine that you get hacked into like an avatar. That is how advanced they are. They can hack into your memories. They can see through your eyes, hear through your ears. And there is a resource that I used in my thesis to confirm that. And the guy has an engineering background. His advice was to stay off the internet and don't have any social media accounts whatsoever. I'm like, that's not how that works.
Nope. So if people suspect that they could be targeted, what would you suggest their first step be? So if a veteran suspects it, do you think the VA staff are aware of this? Or
some of them are, some of them not. And I think they're under technological influence to redirect any further interest. I think there's some kind of subliminal messaging system that keeps you from digging further. What was interesting about Elena Hacker in her research is something that she called natural intelligence, that if you're introduced in some kind of subject matter or topic that you're not aware of and know about, you want to know more about it. not be shut down and turned off like, oh, that's conspiracy theory. You don't care.
Exactly.
You want to know more about it.
Right.
So it's all propaganda, social engineering, but it is also technological influence, in my opinion. You're being programmed not to know any more than what you're supposed to. You're supposed to stay in your lane. And what her website and what she posted on her videos is that the people they target are the ones that are different and are good people that are just different from the rest of society.
Interesting.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
She did say that. She did describe that there's 1 billion people in a threat matrix that the governments have spent close to $1 trillion in building. It's took several decades. So if you have some illegal thought, you will get flagged and tracked immediately, and you will be kept in a database somewhere. So when you stand out even more, that's probably where you get targeted. And they operate either by artificial intelligence, where it's automated while you get how you get targeted, or they do it manually.
Wow.
That is interesting because now that they have been really pushing AI on everybody, get it for their computers and use it. When I read the AI that you can ask questions and they'll give you answers, their program is only to 2021. They haven't been updated.
I
And
didn't hear all
so
that.
She's talking about how the AI and everything, the chat GPT, she's talking about how it's not been updated since 2021.
so why are they pushing it?
So why are they pushing that? She wondered.
You want the truth? They already have AI paired with military-grade weapon systems, and it's out of control. They no longer have control of it. It's controlling them.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Doesn't surprise me.
They have spiritual warfare and AI warfare going on right now. Elena did describe that AI has been around for 3,000 years, and it can time travel.
That's interesting.
But that makes sense if you look at our past.
Yeah, if you look at our past, the Mandela effect and all that stuff that happens, yeah, it makes total sense.
She's well versed in the things that are going on, and that the fact that there's confirmation. There's more and more things that are manifesting and bubbling up to surface that you can no longer ignore. You can't pretend this stuff is not happening around you, like the Maui wildfires.
Oh, yeah. That was definitely planned. And LA has another comment. You want to read it, Peggy, so she can hear it?
LA said the people are either special or disposable. They attack homeless people, etc. Those who have no resources.
That's exactly why they go after them, because they go after the ones that can't fight back.
But what do they get out of it?
What do they get out of that, Joy?
Targeting people?
Yeah.
Well, there are several reasons. One, I think they're trying to depopulate the planet. 2, testing and experimenting. 3, if they are involved in this human trafficking that I've read the forensic reports on me about, this is one massive, massive snuff film industry.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That makes all good sense, yeah.
So being targeted, they're making a lot of money off of you. That's why they can keep you alive. Like when I found out I had COVID, I kept ignoring it because I knew they're trying to keep me from getting training at my new job. And I was like, okay, finally, I'm just going to go in to see if I got the flu, and it wasn't. It was COVID. And they could have killed me off. They could have, because it was so extreme and so hard to function that I was like waiting for the last blow to strike on me.
Wow.
But they didn't. They didn't. As soon as I opened up an app to have my COVID monitored, they backed off. They're like, yep, we're going to give her a break. So I've been used as their personal chew toy for a while now. Most notably in the past couple of years since Amy gave me that notification. It was funny because my friend and I, who's also a target, we would go to different locations. We would go at the federal courthouse. We would go at a defense attorney's office. We would go to the FBI. We would go to my other workplace where I used to work at Boeing. I was just a security guard. I wasn't anything important. And I was harassed pretty heavily there too. But any random places other than just your house. And it was interesting what the conversations they had of us, what Amy could pick up on. So when we were at the FBI, they were telling each other, okay, get ready to get the warrant ready on her. She's really experienced, and I know what her motive is. So they knew what I was trying to do. I'm just collecting evidence. I'm not going to execute anything just yet. I'm just going to amass as much knowledge and research, connections and network, and strategize different ways to how to counter this without getting myself killed or minimizing any fatalities, which unfortunately people have been severely injured or died while I pursued this.
That's unfortunate. That's why it's important we all come together now and work together now so we can all start making links and figure this out, if you ask my opinion.
Yes, and you have to do it carefully.
Very carefully.
What I do know to counter a lot of this stuff is integrating yourself into society, getting a job, whether it's low level or not, and as much as you hate it or not, but getting involved and enduring as much as you can, because there are a lot of good people in the world. A lot of good people, and they hate when you do anything positive or love or compassion. Even the people that are shitty towards you, you show kindness and respect. Take a break if you can't handle dealing with their attacks at the moment, but they get hit with either God smacking or karma, or instant karma, and they get pushed aside, because remember, they're operating in, according to Amy's communications, they operate in two teams, one that protects you, one that attacks you.
Okay.
But I do know that when I left my last job, they tried to fight me tooth and nail to keep me at that lower paying job. They didn't want me to take this new job. So as a last ditch effort on my final day, where my next level boss got notification that I was leaving, and they had somebody posted the interview for whoever was going for my opening of my position. As soon as he clocked out, I'm pretty sure he got hit with an energy weapon, because he was incapacitated for about 2 hours with his truck running, and had vomit on the front of his chest or shirt.
Oh, wow.
Barely moving. So I'm like, they either said it was a stroke or a heart attack. I'm like, he was kind of too healthy for either.
So LA has another question. First, she says you're very brave and courageous, which I agree, LA. She is very brave and courageous. Thank you, Joy, for sharing your knowledge with us. So her next question is, why do they protect and attack?
It's a game. You are in a multi-layered global game. They have selected you as a gladiator of sorts. And this is how I interpret things of what Amy was describing in her findings. Think of it. Okay, so you're getting hit at the ground level by harassers to open up your brainwaves to weaken you, right? To make you feel powerless and worthless.
Right, make you depressed and stay in that negative state.
Keep you in a down position.
Right.
And then they finish you off with the energy weapons or audio weapons, or no matter how long it takes for them. So it's almost like a video game, to be honest. And I guess that's the best description. You have entire groups that are getting points to attack you. And they do mention points in the communications. So it does make sense. While they're trying to protect you and attack you, they get off on it. They don't have to have any accountability or face you for the things they've done to you, because they're using drones, satellites, any of the military grade equipments or mobile units that they can come up with. And then you've got a collaboration of agencies that are involved. You've got the law enforcement. You've got some private companies like Lockheed Martin, because it was mentioned in mine once at least. You have a lot of companies that know about this, which is why they provide certain services to help you uncover the hacking that you have. But Amy describes as the ones that are creating it. So they create these problems so they can be the solution and still make more money off of you.
So they charge you coming and going, basically.
Yes, they do.
Program you to be a consumer and then target you more to make sure that you're going to consume more to fix the issues that they cause.
That's exactly what I think's going on. You're just a commodity. You're just a data point. You're just a
number.
thing.
Just a number. We all have Social Security numbers.
Yes. Now, what makes you special is that you're aware of what's going on because you survived for this long. And they hate that. They absolutely hate it. They hate it that you've made it to the next level, that you survived this. And this is what I imagine that in their head, because I've seen what they've said about other people. Even the people that are helping them harass you at this level, they find them disposable. They'll kill them off at any time. You are just a toy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I've developed a certain level of predictive anticipation, recognizing that if I do this, this is going to happen. And I will have complete chaos surrounding me, and people are reacting or responding to situations. And I'm like, yep, I've seen that before, and I just redirect my focus on something else.
So how do...
Go ahead, Granny. How do you what?
How do you protect yourself if you feel like this is beginning to happen with you? Some odd things that you've not ever experienced, that you have this feeling of experiencing, but you have nothing to give it any warrant for. You know, like if you feel like somebody's watching you, you don't have any proof of it, but you still have that feeling. And you know you haven't done anything. So what, are you feeding into the, the paranoia of life itself, or is it the games that are playing? And what can you protect yourself? How can I protect myself?
How can she protect herself?
How do you protect yourself?
Yes.
All I can tell you is that you can mitigate the damage as much as you can. You can't completely protect yourself 100% that I know of. Now, I've heard of cases where they've been taken to court with subject matter experts proving that you're being subjected to this, and they were able to get off the targeting list of some kind. I've heard stories about that. I've heard, according to Dr. Duncan in his books, that if you stay gray rock or gray man the entire time, no matter what's happening to you, it's almost like you have to have SEER training. And I know you guys know what SEER training is. If you have SEER training,
it's survival, evasion, and I can't remember. It's survival type training, Granny.
Oh,
yeah, that they will get so frustrated that they're done with you and they'll move on to someone else.
Yep.
It could be that they run out of a contract because you haven't given them the thrill and chills that they were hoping for, and they move on to someone else. But to protect yourself, all I can do is mitigate, which I know that working, they really hate the fact that I have a job. They really hate the fact that I find ways to find happiness. Looking out at the sky and seeing how beautiful it is gives me the slightest moment of happiness and fulfillment. So I try to look for the greater things that I can achieve. I find places where they're not going to attack me as much. I've been in cemeteries, and I might have one or two people tracking me, but things have come down to a degree. They really hate it when people ask for interviews from me because they don't want this word getting out. They don't want validation that a random non-veteran is going through it. They don't want any ordinary people talking about this situation, because the more exposed they become, the less fun it is, and the more validity that people get, and the chances of them getting shut down are much higher.
So do you think all this is part of the disclosure that's going on right now?
What disclosure?
Disclosure. They did a press briefing at the in DC, what was it, a couple of months ago? And they're doing disclosure, telling people if they're part of these black op projects or other things to come forward. And they talked about ships that have been down and having ships and stuff like that. And so I was wondering if this could be part of that whole disclosure thing, part of what they're asking people to come forward for if they're participating in and targeting people, if these are some of the people that they're wanting to come forward for this disclosure.
Yes, I would suspect that is the case. Elena has said to report any of these target activities to the military because they will take action. They will collect that information from you. I helped with that case in Virginia that I mentioned. They have an open CID case on that, which I gave some of my information to, and wrote a memo to SecDef about getting hit with energy weapons. I said I'm going to have to get some testing done. I still have to finish one more testing with Dr. Hoffer to do a balance test because I don't have enough money to drive out there and get it done. And so that's why it's been delayed over a year now. What else is there?
I wonder if people put up mirrors or burnable CDs in their windows, if they're having these energy weapons used on them, if it'll leave imprints in the CD.
That's a good question. I haven't heard of that. I would say if you used any radiation cards that you can get on Amazon.
Radiation cards? Okay.
The radiation cards to validate that you're getting targeted because there's a certain amount that you can say you're getting exposed to and show that this is the level of exposure you have, and this is where EPA should come in and do a radiation safety check.
So could some of these weapons possibly cause neurological issues in individuals?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a first person with direct exposure to it that I deal with that from time to time. Let's see. It does feel like you had a lobotomy. That's what it feels like sometimes when they hit you pretty hard. It can sometimes feels like that you have some kind of neurological disorder. And then when they turn off the systems, then you feel like a normal person that's able-bodied, that can function and go on with their life. But they only do that for a little while, and then they turn it back on.
That's nuts. Now, LA said circular patterns on your windows is a sign of dew.
No, I believe it. I definitely believe it. I haven't seen any on mine.
Now, Granny was asking if it would leave some kind of smoke.
Smoke?
Yes.
Certain ones would do it. I have seen them, and I suspect that they set fire to my dumpster in my apartment complex one time just to show off. And the only reason I'm thinking that is because of the timing of when I pulled up to say, see, we could set your dumpster on fire. So, and they're the type of people, these are the type of operators that operate this way.
Fear mongering, huh? Or trying to make you fearful.
I was afraid. I was just like, what? Why? What's going on here? They have other ways of creating fear and anger. And it's like, when you get hit with energy weapons hard enough, you don't even care what goes on around you. I'm like, okay, so I've seen this before. You're so stunted physically and psychologically that you're like a zombie. You can do the bare minimum of driving home if you're strong enough. You can do the bare minimum of staying awake if you can force yourself to fight back the external forces that are trying to get you to sleep and keep you from going to work on time. You can, if you're highly motivated enough to get things done, you can, but it would great effort.
That would disable a lot of people.
Yes, it would. When it's extremely bad, I will find a way to try to take a break, a few minutes break, and then get back up and keep doing what I'm doing.
Now we're at 54 minutes. I know we discussed before you were at the office. Do you have time to keep going, or are you going to need to go soon?
Oh, I have a little time to keep going, especially if it's helping other people understand what this is and what they're going through and give them validation.
Yeah. Okay, are you going to repeat this, or are you going to hold the phone to the speaker?
Well, let me move this phone closer to the speaker and see if she can hear it. Hold on.
Okay.
All right, can you hear now? Say something, Granny.
Hello?
Can you? Okay, she can hear you.
Okay. I have the question of, you were talking about them messing with your mind and your memories. How does that weapon work?
What'd you say?
the weapon that works, that messes with your mind and your memory. She's wondering how that works.
They have some kind of device that can hack into your memories, and it reminds me of the movie Minority Report. So they can catalog and go back into your mind and see what areas I think you were most traumatic to and responded to. And they want to keep repeating that process, that experience over and over again. So when people operate at the ground level through their scripts and their schedule, like every Monday, I get attacked the most on Mondays, for example. Monday, this is where I get verbally tagged no matter where I go. And they'll do that for maybe an hour straight.
Oh, wow. That's got to make it hard to get through the day.
Yes. And they can do it sporadically and intermittently, or they can stop for a brief minute or so for a brief day. Whenever I do something really powerfully positive or beneficial in my self-interest of some kind, they hate that, and then we'll go after whoever is supporting that or is opening the door of opportunity to elevate myself, and they will try to destroy it.
Wow.
Like my friend and I have noticed is that the less that we respond to the organized harassment, they don't have anything to work with, but it drives up the engagement just like you would in social media. I found out that on a post that Neil deGrasse, the astrophysicist, he posted that people get paid to create conflict online because they get paid to do it to help drive up an engagement. I also took a course with the Association of Old Crows, which is a group about electronic warfare. And one of the professors, she has a PhD, she was an instructor, describing cognitive electronic warfare with AI application. So anytime that the enemy responded to whatever attack they used, they would increase it more. And that's exactly what they're doing here.
That's interesting.
It almost sounds like I'm going to go biblical here, but it almost sounds like the spiritual battle between Christians and the demons, because supposedly each demons have headquarters at different spots within the United States, and they run it just like a military would, and they have the people that they want to attack, keep down, and it just sounds to me like this whole spiritual warfare that I've been taught about that Satan uses to seek and destroy. Is that similar to what you're experiencing?
Bingo.
Did you hear, Granny?
No.
She says bingo.
So in my mind, then, because demons can take on the form of humans, it's almost like the Satanists of the world are trying to seek and destroy so that they can have the power and have a certain population that they can easily control and be their little slaves.
That's a good equivalent, yes. I would say it's not limited to Satanists. Only certain Satanists I consider bad apples, because I've encountered some other Satanists that are just not into the world domination at all. They're just wanting to be their own person, their own God, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But the ones you're talking about, they are some kind of cult, I suspect. And I know Amy described that there are cults that are using this targeting system on people. Mine, she says, is probably a cult. She's described it as Freemasons. I was like, okay, that's new. I don't know why I was on their radar. But the more I studied about spiritual warfare and following the metaphysics, the more it aligned with what you're describing, Granny.
Mm-hmm.
It is, I think there's a hierarchy to this targeting group of these collection of agencies. And when they screw up, they will annihilate the person, the middleman or someone when they do.
Right.
And everybody's disposable in their network.
Right, because yeah. The other question I have is that you had spoke about Freemasonry. Do you know that that's the most popular sect for military men in very high places?
No, I didn't know.
Yes.
I encountered Freemasons from here to there through my life and never had a problem with them. I thought they were upstanding gentlemen, and I thought they were a model citizen, so to speak. I think this is the sneakier, darker side. Just like there's a spectrum in every organization, like my office, for example. You have really great people in here, and you got really bad ones. I think the same thing for their group in Freemasonry, but that's just an assumption because I'm not part of their world.
Right.
Yeah, no, there is a very, if you investigate, yeah, that's why I'm saying even up to the presidency, it has shown and proved that they were part of the Freemasonry, and everybody hears about the level 33, and that does exist. And then you have the lower ones that are actually doing all the good works, and then you have the higher ups that are doing the things that they shouldn't be doing. And that's more of a control type of situation. And they will not allow themselves to be destroyed by any kind of interference or that kind of stuff. So when you said that, it clicked with me because in the military, there are a lot of, I'm talking generals, high ups that are in Freemasonry.
Oh yeah.
And they recruit in the military the ones that they will build up so that they continuously have from generation to generation the same mindset being brought forward.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Not at all. I know that Elena described that the Church of Scientology and Democratic Party are part of the elite group that are involved in this targeting and human trafficking for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I can see.
From what I've heard too, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nice to have validation that I'm not having to have a debate with somebody who's not in the know or exposed to different perspectives. So it's reassuring to know that you're aware of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's part of the reason we've got the show is we're trying to make sure that others are aware of it, and we're very, very grateful you've joined us today, Joy.
And despite the fact that you're going to probably feel the afterbirth of it, and please keep safe. I worry now. That's what a granny does.
They like to show off by causing accidents every few blocks, and they'll do it for a period of time. I've had accidents in front of me when it could have been me at any time. They could have killed me off at any time, but they've kept me alive because I'm worth more alive than dead right now.
Yeah, you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's I know they fought tooth and nail to keep me from publishing that thesis because it touched on the truth that they didn't want anybody to know about that's here at our ordinary level of humanity. They just didn't want that. So describing some of the things, and boy, I had a hard time typing that. I had a really hard time even passing a grade because they hit with so many energy weapons and they do it in cycles. I was like, okay, when is this ever going to stop? And of course the gang stalking was extreme too. And there was a period of time where they were everything here at the ground level it was a ghost town for 3 months. Like they were afraid that everything was going to have a domino effect and everything was shut down. Like this global movement just based on what I was writing, which felt like empowering that I could pull that off, but at what cost?
Right. Where do we go to read this?
Oh, it's on the Global. I can send you the link. It's Purdue University Global, and they have a link available for that.
Oh, wonderful. We'll have to make sure and when you email it to us, we'll get it posted on the website so people that can find it.
No, definitely. I know that a lot of the initial research was based on just psychology, which I was like, people, come on now. You got to do better than that. Which I love the fact that forensic psychology is one of the few fields that will expect you to research even deeper and further than what's presented to you. You have to go beyond to understand human behavior. So what stood out to me when Amy revealed that the Army helped publish the DSM in the 50s, that's when I dug a little bit further and discovered that they left out the most significant part about DSM, and that's the influence of vibrations, frequencies, and energies that are intentionally designed by man.
Oh, wow.
So ask yourselves.
When was the DSM written again?
What?
When was the DSM? When did that come out?
It was the one that we're using today, the latest version. It originated in the 50s.
That's interesting because it was in the 1940s when the Rockefeller Foundation had the frequency changed from 432 hertz to 440 hertz around the world, which causes agitation and anger and discord everywhere.
This is true. That I found out. Well, I didn't know who was behind it. I just knew it was changed. But I also want to notice that are all these mental health and diseases that we have, are they real? I mean, are they from the lack of nutrition, the lack of environment, or is it the change in frequencies, vibrations, and energies caused by man at the mass level?
See, that's what I've been trying to figure out, Joy, since I healed myself using that meditation, because when I did my meditation, I worked through the core beliefs and finding out the true core beliefs that we all come into this world being born with. And then I worked through my trauma, and I had this chart that showed different things that were linked to different parts of the body. And so since I knew that, I thought about the trauma that would be causing those problems. And lo and behold, when I finished the meditation, I was better. And so it made me wonder if all those talks about somatic response was true, and if it's actually everything in the body is caused by toxins or trauma that's stored.
I will tell you this, because I go to different healers and metaphysical practitioners. They help with the energetic cord cutting for me, help me learn how to heal myself. And I feel a hell lot better afterwards. And I might have moments or glimpses of insight about how the world works, how the universe makes sense for a brief moment of time. And then I lose that. And I'm just like, oh, now I understand everything. And it's like, no, it's gone. It's like they want you to see this is what you are supposed to be as human beings, connected with everything around you. But you have to fight to keep that.
Right. I noticed the more meditation I do, the more that I stay at that level. I know when I did that meditation, no matter where I went, everybody thought I was high on drugs. And I'm like, nope, didn't do anything to get this happy and this joyful and this blissful. It was it. And then I did an ayahuasca ceremony not long after that. And I'll tell you what, Joy, even at the highest point feeling of the ayahuasca and DMT, that meditation had me higher feeling than that natural drug. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Something that you can do sitting there by yourself, sitting with yourself and going within can heal you and get you higher than any drug on this planet. Holy shit. It shocked me. So,
yes, I could imagine what it's like, because someday I will do ayahuasca in a traditional ceremony, because I know it's legal doing it that way in the U.S.
I do know this. If people want to know how high you can get in meditation, I'll tell you. If you've done ayahuasca or DMT, you ain't felt a high yet. It's a crazy big difference. I mean, crazy. Even my husband's like, that's all it was?
That's all it was.
Because both of us meditate. We've meditated since we were children. And I was like, holy cow. And then I found this song by this Russian group, and it translates to Mother Nature will get you higher than any drug on the planet. And I was like, it makes sense now. Holy cow.
They weren't joking, were they?
No, they weren't. It made so much stuff make sense. And so, yeah, people, I don't know why. If you use natural drugs. Don't use it to get high. Use it as a tool to help you heal and understand what you're supposed to be looking for in meditation for your head state, if anything.
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely. Which I think the more you meditate, the more you are connected with yourself. I think the less they target you. That's just my opinion. But if there's a mission that they're trying to keep you from achieving a goal, they'll try to hit you hard with that. It's interesting that I know when I'm doing something right is that when they fight me harder on achieving whatever it is, or they don't want me around a certain person, I'm like, that's the person I need to be around because there's something special about them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and have you ever noticed that if you're on the phone or something with another person that's aware of the targeting, if suddenly you're all both happy and then suddenly they target you and one of you's negative all of a sudden?
Oh, they took turns with me and my friend. One on a Thursday, I would be hit hard and she was fine. And the next day she was hit hard and I was fine.
So to get through that, you keep checking on each other and making sure you stay in a positive mindset and push through it. Is that the best way to handle that?
We accept each other's flaws and have each other's backs. She gets hit with dreams more than anything. She's got hive mind.
Oh.
And she knows that if somebody is getting sexually aroused and it's a male, she senses it, then she feels it, and it's not fun. It's always with her. So she's got her job where she keeps herself occupied and doesn't have to deal with that. She's one of the unfortunate ones that have that type of testing experimenting on her. Mine, they tried everything they tried on her, and it just didn't work. Like this, injecting me with kind of images in my head and dreams. I'm like, I don't remember it and don't care. So good luck with that. So they try everything else. And that's like, oh, here's the spot she didn't like. Boom, 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 boom.
Interesting. So they hit you when you're down, they hit you where it hurts the worst.
They throw everything at you, every tactic they can come up with, and whatever you respond to the most, they keep doing. Like one day, like I was being tailed pretty close, and I decided to, pump my brakes and respond to that. Well, they started doing it for a while after that. Then they'll switch to another tactic. They might have somebody have their headlights pointed at me at my house or in some unusual position as I'm traveling down the road. And they had that going for a year or two straight, and then they dropped that activity down. Right now, it's hacking into my phone or keeping me from doing transactions. They could do that for a while, or some type of identity theft. That happens for a while. Or getting my order wrong at a food place, or keeping me waiting 30 minutes longer than I should, or setting the train to drive through as soon as I approach it. But they love doing those car accidents once in a while. They did that for a while. Like I'd see car accidents and people's lives ruined because of AI or some operator was behind it.
Wow. Oh, and look at that. My phone just ended the call. That's interesting. So, Granny, let me call her back real quick.
All right.
See if she had anything else to say. That's weird. Nobody touched the phone. It just ended the call completely.
Yeah, I heard the beep.
Let's see.
Hello.
Hey, okay, you're back.
Yes.
Okay.
And they'll do that too. They'll drop the phone if somebody is important on the phone or something like that. They'll drop the phone call.
Makes it hard to live an ordinary life, doesn't it, sister?
Yeah. You learn to adapt and endure is the only advice I give people, because it's not going to get any easier or better until we all come together and do a mass level movement to shut it down. And that was what Elena's recommendation, which I put in my thesis as well, a mass global movement. And I think it's come together. I think because there are AI influences associated with all of us being targeted in non-targets, I think we're all targeted as human beings and animals. But once we shift our mindset to say no and just cause it to malfunction, cause it to say this does not compute, I hope it turns into just like the movie War Game and say, don't play anymore, don't play this game anymore, and shut down on its own.
Right. Well,
I want to say something real
Okay.
quick. Does anybody find the irony in the fact that they don't want anybody to know about them, but yet they've been demonstrating it through this entire show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is the worst we've ever had anything like this. We had it with Amy, but not this extreme. And we had it with, what's his name?
Kevin.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'd see where the meditation will help, because meditation will teach you detachment and not identifying with the body, and it teaches you compassion and love and understanding. And honestly, if everybody that's targeted or feels like they may be targeted starts sitting with themselves for at least 5 minutes a day, they'll be able to start seeing when this stuff happens and be able to fight it with love and joy and laugh it off. Maybe I know it's not funny that it happens, but if you catch the people doing it or causing it, it is funny, because they make an ass of themselves trying to cause other problems.
But they're just the peons, right?
Yeah.
So they could be replaced just like that. We need to
Right.
get to the top and come down. How
Right.
do we get to the top of it?
Everybody coming together, Granny.
Yep.
And
But you have to fight the fact that you're going to be heavily influenced by these external forces.
so with that said, this weekend, Joy, at noon Central Time, we're having a mess call or a Zoom call support group for people to come together and talk about anything they need to talk about stuff they've seen, whatever. Just buddy check in, and we're inviting everybody to come join if you have time.
Right.
Yeah, it's something to do and something to think about. It's just, I try to stay offline with the targeting groups because people go after each other. They fall apart. They make accusations that may or may not be true, and I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that right now.
Oh, the drama. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was accused of slanderized when I was doing a study with the Facebook people. There were TIs that didn't know me anyway, but to go around and lying about me because I was pursuing a psychology degree and trying to help people, to like, she's this, she's that. I'm like, you've never met me before and you're making up shit? Really?
Wow.
So instead of fighting with her, and she's like, when an innocent person wouldn't act like what you're doing, and she was saying this in exchange online on her post, I'm like, I'm walking away. So when I finished my thesis, I got it published, and a few months later, she announced that she was being institutionalized, and so was her son.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't really sympathetic. I'm like, that's called karma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It really is.
So
Wow.
I was like, I saw that coming because I learned that people come at me pretty hard. I just step aside. I'm like, here you go. I'm going to let you fall faceplant down. So knock yourself out.
That sounds familiar.
Now, Amy did point out in her forensic report that she never had seen so many operators targeting me. She counted 32 people, I think. Or is it 29? I don't remember. But I had a spiritual reading done by a friend of mine who's very adept with my situation. She said at one point you had 100 people after you.
Wow.
That are operating behind the scenes. Those are the ones with the drones that, or navigate here at the ground level with organized harassment and all these other situations. But for some reason, they really, really find me interesting enough to have that many people on me. So I just.
Well, it's a legion. It's not.
Yes, it's a legion, all right.
Yeah, I mean, it really is if you think about it. And the peons that are actually doing the work, I have to ask, are they even aware of it? I mean, really, are they aware of it? Or is it just being kind of like the mansion? Is that the word? Theology, the mansion theory of going and,
You want my opinion on it? I think that they're under technological influence themselves. I think because these operators that I was looking at Amy's first report, I thought they were under the influence of MK Ultra technology as well. The way they talk.
That's what I meant.
It sounded like they're under a spell.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't surprise me, but they were MK Ultra children themselves that were kidnapped and then raised into these military schools and brought up to be these operators and become serial killers.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, is that when the button's turned on, their old life is just turned off and the new one is more present. And, because I know a lot of MK survivors and their stories, and to get out of that, with the recording in their brain, it took a lot of work.
Yes, and Amy said that I'm in the MK Ultra program as well, according to the report.
Oh, wow.
The big question is, Granny and Peggy, is like, how long have I been in the MK Ultra? I knew about the organized harassment since 2011 as I progressed in searching for answers. But was I a target since I was a child? Was my mom a target? Was it because, according to my spiritual friend, because my grandfather was military intelligence in the Second World War in the Navy?
Yes.
Big possibility.
That's a lot of them have claimed that their family member was very high up in the military, in Secret Service, that kind of stuff, that they would target the children of that relative. And they would do it in several different ways. I'll have to have Peggy send you a link of a program that talks about the MLKs or the MKs, and how they have overcome that training and are helping people to realize that some of the things that they do come out of, but it's usually when they've gotten older or if the handler has passed away and the new one is not making a connection anymore.
Oh, that's a problem.
So then they can see more that what's happening to them.
Yes, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
This is like really, really advanced stuff that as my friend who was being targeted, and I was like, how do you know? It's just like, I don't want to know about it. I was forced to know. And I was like, I was thinking about that the same way the other day. I don't want to know about this, but now I have to, because I'm not alone, and we shouldn't be subjected to it. This is not what we were brought into this world for.
Right.
No.
It's making people slaves, involuntary slaves.
Yes. And if you've seen the show Mrs. Peacock not Mrs. Peacock, Mrs. Davis on Peacock stream.
I haven't watched that yet. Have you, Granny?
No, I've seen it, but I haven't watched it.
It's about a nun named Simone is on a quest for Mrs. Davis, who happens to be the artificial intelligence, to find the Holy Grail and destroy it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes, that's what it's about. Yes.
In one scene of the episode, Simone had to come up with, I think, $1 million on her quest, and she asked Mrs. Davis for help on that. And immediately, because everybody had earbuds in their ears, they started giving her money and putting them in trash bags.
Oh, wow.
That just gave me an example of, I think, what is going on in our world right now, is that immediately that if a gang stalker is harassing you randomly, I think that they're under the influence of artificial intelligence or an operator.
Yes. And what do you think about the fact of more and more people are becoming, I would say, evil to where it's desecrating bodies, like over in the East right now, beheading babies and killing these families, children, and in front of their parents and vice versa. I mean, to me, that's not normal human behavior, But if they've been taught from the beginning that this is normal behavior to do, that's like what you're talking about.
I would think so. I think that's something that is someone who's under demon influence or has programmed the AI or system to think in a demonic manner.
Mm-hmm.
So I do suspect that to be the case. Here's another fascinating part in my thesis as far as touching on supernatural. Because people didn't think that this aligns to that type of thing, I kept it open with the possibility that somebody with spiritual knowledge be able to investigate those things instead of limiting it to just psychological issues. What was fascinating about being open to watching different documentaries or reading up on different subject matter, one of the documentaries I watched was called Hellier, which were paranormal investigators that went out to Kentucky, in Hellier, Kentucky, to investigate goblins. So they went on this quest in the next 2 seasons they had, and they ended up in a place called Somerset, Kentucky, that has a paranormal research museum. And the guy there described that their town has the highest mental illness rate per capita than the rest of the state because of the unusual activities that go on there as far as frequencies and vibrations and energies there.
Wow. So
I did a comparison. I was like, I think if you do some research and experimenting either there or at Skinwalker Ranch, you want to do a comparison to the mental health of that area to see if there's some kind of correlation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can believe that. I can believe that because I think it's easier for outsiders that don't believe in us, that say, oh, this is all conspiracy theory. It's too scary for them to actually believe this kind of stuff, one, can happen. And two, they've already been programmed to not accept this.
Yes.
I mean, look at TV, how much you get influenced by the news. You're basically being told how to think, where to go, what to buy, how to look, everything else. So
Just like the movie They Live.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just, I really had such innocence growing up, and I'm so glad I maintained that and was protected by my mom and sheltered. A little bit too sheltered, I think. But I'm glad that I had that experience as a child as opposed to some of the other people that have been through some horrific things. But I'm getting the expedited fast track of what horrors there are out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm totally okay with it. I'm like, if that was where I was meant to be exposed to at this time and point in my life, because I'll be 48 in December, then so be it.
Now, you said you were working on a case with child abuse. Is that another area that you feel like you're helping instead of just, trying to fight what's going on with you? Is it a way of helping other people?
It's a case-by-case difference on what you can or can't do. There are some easy fixes I can provide, whether it's up to them to follow the advice. And some of them, I'm like, you are still too trapped in your world or in your problem or your path that I can't do anything with you at this time. But there might be a paradigm shift where I could intervene later.
Okay.
It's one of those pieces of advice I got recently that you can only do so much, but if your supervisor says you have to do this, A, B, and C, then you're going to have to do it. And I was like, okay. You can put a Band-Aid on it and move on with your day.
Yeah, there you go.
That makes sense. Do you find that most people that are aggressive because they've probably been abused in the past?
Easily. I think they go two different paths. One, they become just like their abuser, or two, they don't. And they learn from that, and they don't ever want to continue that trajectory. What I have discovered is that there are ways to mitigate if people are willing to do services, if they're willing to change.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I think some of them are being targeted by our weapon systems and our government systems to keep them from being happy and healthy.
Now, LA had wrote a couple of things here that I thought was pretty interesting. She had put down zombie apocalypse.
Programming and cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
What was the first one?
The zombie apocalypse. She said that one a while back when you first started talking about the way things are and what's going on and everything, the way people are acting and so forth.
Yep. I think cognitive dissonance, I think we're advanced bio supercomputers, and some of us operate efficiently, some of us do not, because of the disruptions that we're being subjected to.
I can claim that one.
Okay. I know that they do throw interference when I'm trying to concentrate on something or trying to get a simple task done, and they make me look so incompetent sometimes. I'm like, this is not the real me. I am quite capable, but to the outside, they're like, what the hell's wrong with her?
Makes it difficult.
Yeah. They're confused. My coworkers are very confused. The ones that are the shit stirrers and the antagonists, they're confused of how I'm able to function. On the outside, they think I'm like a mystery, like this, whatever it is they come up with. They came up with different labels, but they can't put me in the right category. They can't put me in a category. It doesn't. I'm just an outlier to them. I heard that one time when I was at my military job. She's an outlier.
A what?
Outlier. That means
outside of the norm.
Oh.
AUTLIER.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I never heard that term before. It's like, what? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a statistical term.
yes. When were you in? You were in later 2000s, right?
I went in 2006 and I was fired in 2016. And then we did a wrongful termination and it was changed to acceptable standard and just resigned.
Ah, wow.
I had 60 write-ups and God knows how many other things associated with it. So my mentor, who used to work with me when I was there, he said, he's like, make it hurt.
Wow.
When I fight back, just make it hurt. And you gave him a black eye, you gave him a bloody nose, and my other friends, like, they're going to talk about you for years. I'm like, over what? What's so interesting about me that I'm talked about? It's just, I don't know.
That is very interesting.
You're defiant.
For you, Lisa, Granny Lisa,
Yeah.
you're totally cool with me. I mean, you don't have a problem with me, but here at work, I am the most fascinating subject matter that they've ever encountered in their life. And I'm like, why?
Are you the only veteran?
No, you got military people here, ex-military. You got really interesting personalities. I mean, they are, to me, are outliers in a sense, but I don't understand why I stand out so much. And I'm wondering if it's because of the targeting that they're like, let's fixate on her.
Have they had any of the targeting done to them?
Yes.
Oh.
They don't know it, though. I already know right away when they're telling me a situation that's going on in their lives or an unusual pain or some kind of symptom. I'm like, I just had that a few minutes ago, or I had that the day before.
Interesting.
Or their relative fell off of a step ladder or a ladder outside and they had a serious injury. I'm like, yep, they like to do forced collapse and they like to do weird things to people, and any kind of misfortune, any kind of negative experience, they've gone through it already, and they are very strategic on who they go after. Like, I know that if somebody was mean to me last week, I'm super nice to them, something bad happens to them the following week.
Every time, without fail.
Without fail. So I learned to do that.
Right. It teaches you to be more loving and kind. LA says you're interesting and entertaining.
Well, thank you. There's days when I have been epically aggressive as fuck, but police has never really addressed it. They're just like, oh, that's just her being her, and just go on about their day. They hear about me getting pissed off, but in my own mouth and no action, so they're like, oh, there's not much you can do. You see people get into fights all the time.
LA said strong-willed and defiant.
Yeah. And you know what? There's days when that's useful, and then most of the time it's not. So, and I'm trying to lay down my arms so I can focus on the work and learn what I need to learn so that I can help others in the future. Because what I'm trying to do here at my job is start integrating them on the possibility of different ways to collect evidence, different ways to identify people to be targeted and tortured or being trafficked, because this is a form of human trafficking. And Elena has said that, Elena Hacker said that, and so has Amy. So I'm giving validation to the work they're doing and start migrating them to that direction so that they can recognize right away that this person's being tortured. So let's address this.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but is there a database, since y'all are collecting evidence and stuff, is there a database for people that think they might be victims to go and submit their info?
Repeat that.
Is there a database somewhere for targeted individuals to go and everybody submit their information so that we can start having case logs and tracking everything?
I think some people have tried to attempt that or achieve that, and my educated guess is that the bad guys will steal that or hijack it or shut it down. So you have to be careful in how you do it. I do suspect that websites or human rights groups like targetedjustice.com and ICATOR or ICATOR have something similar to that, because I think they're making massive progress right now on these court proceedings. And they're not only doing that, but they're gathering more medical people, legal professionals, and other savvy, skilled people to come together to help prove this stuff is happening and that's real. And so it's getting more and more legitimacy, which I anticipated was going to happen, because when you put some force into your words and your mindset, things go into motion that you're hoping. And since I think two of my powerful skill sets is manifesting and also changing the outcome in a favorable way is useful.
Very useful. So, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm good. You can say whatever.
I was reading private chat. I apologize.
Oh.
Granny was hearing some low humming noises, and we were trying to figure out what it was on our side.
Yeah, it just started 2 minutes ago.
Turned on over here.
It sounds like a wind tunnel type of noise.
Yeah. I'll move to another side of the room.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure what it was.
It could be our air kicked on too, Granny, is what I was going to say. Do you have any more questions, Granny? I know she's at work. I don't want to keep her too long.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I just want to, say thank you for being so brave and coming on the show. It's just confirming more and more and more.
I'm just glad to intercept the people that I have so far in coming together and helping make sense of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Because that's the only way we're going to make sense of it all, is if we all come together and piece every piece of the puzzle together.
Yeah.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. I'm just wondering what's the next step, because I know I'm inching towards gaining credibility in the area that I'm at, even though I am dealing with organized harassment to stop that. But to gain influence where it's just enough to tip the scales and start creating that Mandela effect or the 100th monkey effect.
Right. The more people that we have aware of it, the quicker this will change, and the faster it'll change for the positive for everybody involved.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Absolutely.
I had a friend very long time ago who everybody thought was crazy. She was an educated nurse, worked in a very high, I don't want to say high class, I mean, took care of a lot of high profile people. And she always had, she had an injury, and they were fighting, the insurance companies were fighting her on her claims on, and it was like millions of dollars. She claimed that she was being followed. She was being harassed. She ended up getting severely sick. And anytime that she tried to move forward, she would get sicker. She was hearing voices. And so everybody just assumed that she was just going crazy. She's got mental problems. But everything that you and Amy have spoken about, I'm really starting to think that she was not. I never thought she was crazy, probably because of my military. And I was with her one time when she was being trailed. And, but it was so outrageous on why. She's just a nurse. But you're saying it really doesn't matter what your job is or anything like that. And so
no, I mean, think about it. Think of the terms of how Amy describes them as serial killers, like in the last show you had. It makes sense. There's something they have to them of value, and they want to make use of it. They want to toy with you.
And I think that's what they were doing to this poor lady.
Well, they have no boundaries. So
No,
keep that in
didn't.
mind. Remember, this is a global operation. You are the chosen one. So good luck and find a way to navigate through it. That's the way, basically what they're trying to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And like we discussed with Amy, if you think that they're targeting you, you hear the high-pitched squeals or choppers around and the animals are acting weird and electronics start acting up and you hear something outside, go outside, film, record, get evidence, post it to social media, to your community pages, start posting what you're noticing, what you're feeling, what the animals are doing, what it's doing to the wildlife or the natural landscape around you even.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's how we battle this. We come together and do it together because they can't stop us if we come together.
Oh, definitely. And Elena did mention that the reason that aliens are here is because we play with the energy weapons so much and they're trying to calm things down.
Right. Well, I mean, the nuclear weapons hurt not just us, but it hurts everything on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes.
Even interdimensional stuff and things throughout the cosmos. It's crazy how everything is, like you said, interconnected.
Yep, and we're trying to play God, or the bad guys are trying to play God and think that there's no consequences. I'm like, yeah, there is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Always consequences. They're just not thinking about it and not looking at what consequences could be.
Exactly.
True.
I found it interesting in Japan. Their culture is very easily in believing in aliens. When their nuclear plant went off, they lost the one. There was so many sightings of UFOs and UFOs working. They had like this energy that you could literally see. They would come together and this bolt of energy was between them to where they came and made a big square and they went up in space. And they believed that they were taking the nuclear energy and that why it wasn't worse than it was. They believed that the aliens came and saved them and took the excess energy that they could out of the atmosphere.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a documentary on TV that, yeah, but Japan has a high respect towards the aliens, and there are photos or drawings from their ancient peoples that they actually communicated with them, that they just now discovered. And the monks there, they have a relationship with these UFOs.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I mean, if you look back throughout history, there's not photographs, but drawings and stuff that have UFOs or UAPs or whatever
Yeah.
they're calling them now depicted. And so that doesn't surprise me. I did see the documentary Granny's talking about on Fukushima. It was very interesting. They did show the video of the aircraft in the sky and doing what they were doing. Okay, what's up, Michael? Oh, we can't hear you. He said he believes that was a show on Netflix.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
What was the name of that, Granny? Do you remember off the top of your head?
No,
Yeah, it was only like 5 or 6 episodes. But one of the episodes
exactly.
was talking about the Fukushima reactor meltdown and how the UFOs came in and actually deradiated the area. And they actually had pictures of them.
Yeah, and then also the flooding, the
Mhm.
tsunami afterwards. I thought it was interesting that the monk said that he had a communication with them. It is Netflix, and it was only like 6 series of it. It never
Right.
renewed, which I thought was pretty sad.
Yeah, really.
hmm Okay, I think that we're at a good place to say goodbye. We're
I
at
do too.
1:47, and
Well, Joy, thank you so very much for taking time out of your schedule today and coming on and speaking with us. We really appreciate it. And I had a good time. I learned a lot. Granny, how about you?
oh, I think I should not read the bios of anybody anymore.
Well, you're very welcome, ladies and Mike.
Oh, thank you. It is. It's much, and please be careful. And I'm curious to know if there was anything that you had to suffer on being on this show. Will you let us know?
She asked if you'd let us know if anything happens.
Oh, it was happening when I was talking to you about this stuff, so I'm just dealing with it.
Well, just know that we're both here for you. You've got my number, and reach out if you need anything. And at a later date, if you'd like to come on and present evidence that you've gathered, then we'd be happy to have you on and be happy to have anybody you send our way that you think would be a good guest for us.
Absolutely.
All right.
So everybody, thank you for joining us today. Remember, this Saturday at noon Central Standard Time, we are having our very first mess call where we're coming together just for a buddy check in. Always remember, sharing is caring. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Remember, sharing is caring.